welcome to our event today. This is the second event in the series of Fit for Ukraine events. These events are focused on presentation of analytical materials and specific investment cases that are open to cooperation right now. What we are trying to achieve, we're trying to achieve investment interest in order not only to rebuild Ukraine, but to economically transform Ukraine. That is very important. So today we'll be talking about logistic hubs and industrial parks, what kind of opportunities there are, and what are the latest statistics in these sectors. Logistic real estate suffered significantly, and it was damaged significantly after the full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Around 22% of warehouses were destroyed in the Kyiv region alone. In Ukraine, in total, we have 2.5 million square meters of warehousing before the war we had. And majority of those facilities were placed in the Kyiv region. So during the first half of 2022, the volume of total warehouse space in the Kyiv region decreased dramatically from 1.6 to 1.3 million square meters. Approximately 382,000 square meters of warehousing and logistic facilities were destroyed. 80% of A-class warehouses have been either completely or partially destroyed. You can see statistics about specific centers that were affected, but also we can see a very good tendency. Ukrainian operators, they already started to rebuild facilities, and of course, way more will be needed. ATB, the largest local retailer, is starting to rebuild 2 warehouses. RLC has started to reconstruct its partially damaged warehouse in Brovary. Dragon Capital has already restored one of the buildings of the Westgate logistic complex with the area of more than 7,000 square meters. And you will see presentation from Dragon Capital today about their additional projects. In Ukraine, we assess investment opportunities, and we always compare our case with case in neighboring countries and in the EU. So the tendency is the following, that developed manufacturing sector requires appropriate supply of logistics of real estate. We have compared here manufacturing and logistics GVA as percentage of the GDP in 2022. So we can see the following figures. In Czech Republic, manufacturing constitutes 26.4% of the GDP, and logistics constitutes 6.1%. In Germany, manufacturing 21%, logistics 4.7%. In Romania, 20.7% manufacturing and logistics 8.4%. In Poland, 19% of manufacturing in GDP and 6.5% of logistics. In Ukraine, at the moment, we have decreased share of manufacturing in our GDP. It has decreased to 7% from 11% due to the war. And we have 3.9% of logistics in our GDP. So we can see a clear link between the development of manufacturing and development of logistics sectors. Our manufacturing will be developing, and we will need way more logistics in Ukraine. Also, a very important figure is gross capital formation. In Ukraine, as of 2021, that figure was 14% of the GDP. In Poland, 21, Romania, 26, Germany, 23, and Czech Republic, 30. That figure constitutes amount of gross capital formation as of 2021. So we will see the latest analytics, and probably in Ukraine, that figure was decreased. But after our victory, when the war will end, we will see dramatic increase. Consequently, there will be significant demand for investments in logistics sectors and industrial parks. Also, we have a comparison here of total warehouses stock per population per country. Ukraine's population before the war, 43 million people, and we had 2.5 million square meters. In Germany, population 83 million people, and warehouses 8.2 million square meters. In Romania, 19 million people and 6 million square meters of warehousing. In Poland, 37 million people and 27 million square meters of warehousing. In Czech Republic, 10 million people population and 9.6 million square meters of warehousing. So you can see that Ukraine was heavily underinvested in this sector, and investment opportunity will be very significant. Also, very important element of development of manufacturing and logistics as well, because every manufacturing will need a logistic infrastructure, is a system of industrial parks. Manufacturing sector upgrading, this is the main task of industrial park system introduced in Ukraine, because they can provide favorable business environment to develop manufacturing sector and to add economic value in economies that are heavily dependent on the production of unprocessed, semi-processed agricultural products or extractive resources. Industrial parks foster new investments, industries, jobs, and linkages to the local economy, and thus they contribute to the regional and national development. Value chain optimization. Industrial park is an ecosystem that integrates value chains actors with high quality infrastructure, logistics, and specialized facilities. We have seen examples of Turkey and Poland. In Turkey, more than 346 industrial parks have been created with more than 50,000 of residents in these parks. The GDP was stimulated by industrial parks, and exports grew by more than by 3 times. In Poland, there are 79 industrial parks in 14 special economic zones. This has attracted more than 20 billion euros of investments. And according to statistics, 1% reduction of this tax burden on businesses increases FDI by 3.3% on average. In Ukraine, currently 61 industrial parks registered. This is a new infrastructure in Ukraine because we have seen this legislative development just recently. So after the war, there will be a significant potential for development of industrial parks, and they will play a pivotal role in economic development and economic transformation of Ukraine. So what kind of benefits and incentives can industrial parks receive in Ukraine? They can get full or partial compensation on interest rates for loans in order to arrange industrial parks or to carry out economic activity. As a resident of industrial park, you can get CIT relief for up to 10 years. Also, you can be exempt from import duties on new equipment. You can be exempt from land tax, and you can receive non-refundable financing for arranging industrial parks or construction of related infrastructure facilities. Also, you can be compensated for connecting to engineering grids, exempt from VAT, and exempt from payment on forestry production losses, and also from real estate tax. The industrial parks in Ukraine can be as small as 10 hectares and as big as 1,000 hectares. You can see a QR code with a full guide of UkraineInvest on legislation in this area. One of the main drivers to warehouse sector development is also e-commerce. We have seen in Ukraine very interesting tendency. We have compared internet usage and e-shoppers number. And we can see that internet usage actually is not at its highest level in Ukraine compared to neighboring countries. Because, for example, in Ukraine, only 67% of population use internet actively. At the same time, in Romania, 91%. In North Macedonia, 86%. In Serbia, 89%. In Bosnia-Herzegovina, 79%, and other countries. However, we have seen that the percentage of internet users who bought goods online increased rapidly in the last 5 years, from 29 to 48% in Ukraine. That shows that with increase of internet usage in Ukraine, our e-commerce will be growing also significantly. And we can see a global trend that by 2026, additional 160 to 200 million square meters of logistics space dedicated to e-commerce will be needed worldwide to support internet sales. And Ukraine will have a significant part in that development. Also in Ukraine, we have developed IT sector, and that could be a solution for logistic processes, digitalizing and optimization. Logistics and supply chains have recently seen a digital transformation through cutting-edge technology solutions. Warehouse optimization helps companies improve efficiency and accuracy by using automated systems to perform tasks such as picking, packing, and shipping orders. Blockchain also improves visibility and traceability throughout the supply chain. And cloud-based SaaS solutions will play a pivotal role in structuring the framework for the IT infrastructure of logistic enterprises. In Ukraine, we have 1,818 product companies, 90 R&D centers, and more than 280 IT specialists working in the field. Also, we have here a breakdown of product companies by sector. 42 companies in logistic product sector, 225 companies in business productivity software, and already 110 companies in e-commerce sector. Very important addition to development of industrial parks and logistics sectors is Ukrainian legislative current regulation that provides for the need to localize production in Ukraine in order to access public procurement system. Since 2022, a temporary 10-year localization requirement for public procurement of products in Ukraine has been introduced in order to increase level of manufacturing in Ukraine. So 10% from 2022, 15% from 2023, 20% from 2024, 25 from 25, 30 from 26, and then 35 plus from 2027, going to 40% till 2032. Why localization request is important? Because if companies comply with these requirements, they will get access to public procurement. And public procurement open access for private sector that is interested to participate in the rebuilding of Ukraine. And also we have here statistics as to number of public procurements announced through platform Prozoro. This is a national platform to participate in tenders for public procurement. So in 2019, we had 1.3 million of procurements in Ukraine. In 2020, 3.7 million procurements. In 2021, already 5.3 million public procurements that were announced on this platform. You can see that the figure is growing, and it will be growing rapidly when we will be rebuilding country on a full scale. So the total cost of concluded agreements via this system in 2019 was $20 billion. In 2021, it has risen to $36 billion. As you all know, Ukraine will need hundreds of billions of dollars in order to rebuild economy and infrastructure. So you will see significant number of these processes going through Prozoro system, and complying with localization requirement will make you able to participate in this process effectively. Also, I would like to remind you about Law 1116. This law is on incentives for significant investments. So according to this law, any investor that will build manufacturing facility in Ukraine that will modernize or build from scratch facility as a greenfield and invest at least 20 million euros and create 80 jobs, they'll be able to get up to 5 years corporate income tax relief. They can be also exempt from custom duty on new equipment. They can be exempt from land tax, and also they can lease state or communal land plots without an auction. Also, construction of related infrastructure can be done at the cost of the state. The law covers a very vast spectrum of sectors of economy, from processing industry to extraction for the purpose of further processing, waste management, transportation, warehousing, postal and courier services, logistics, education, R&D, healthcare, arts and culture, sports, tourism, and hospitality. If you follow the QR code on this slide, you will see a full presentation about the law, secondary legislation, how you can apply, and how UkraineInvest can support you. We provide free of charge service to all investors on behalf of the government of Ukraine to investors that want to apply according to the law. We help them form the application to the Ministry of Economy, and then we support them throughout implementation of the investment project for its lifetime. Also, we have submitted proposal to Parliament of Ukraine. Ukrainian government submitted proposal to Parliament of Ukraine in order to improve this law and bring some additional incentives, because this will be needed in order to attract bigger attention of international investors. So, according to this draft law that has already passed its first reading in the Parliament of Ukraine, so we have a very clear and understandable time frame for this law to be passed in second reading and be already applicable in Ukraine. So according to these changes, projects can be started 12 months before the date of submission of application. That gives more flexibility to investors. They do not have to wait for approval. They can invest and then apply. Also, reduced investment threshold from 20 million euros to 12, reduced threshold of minimum required new jobs, instead of 80 will be 50, and new applicable industries, IT, telecom, production of energy efficient building materials, climate equipment, equipment for air and water heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. So on this note, I would like to pass the microphone or the computer screen back to Romina. But before I do that, I would like to announce our new next event that will be focused on agri-processing. This is also within series of Fit for Ukraine Forum on Investments and Transformation. It will be held on 18th of May from 4 to 6 p.m. EET. Thank you very much. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have.